The gavel strikes sharply against the wooden desk, echoing through the cavernous courtroom like the first drop of a storm. Every head instinctively twists to the front, where Kody sits, a picture of enforced calm. His posture is stiff, his fingers pressed tightly together on the table, but the subtle tremble in his hand speaks of the tension clawing at him from the inside. Across from him, Robyn fidgets, her fingers tapping out a rhythm only she seems to hear. She shifts in her seat, trying to appear composed, but each new word from the prosecutor feels like a weight pressing deeper into her chest. Christine comes in last, her usual poise replaced by a tense determination that makes her almost glow with quiet intensity. She surveys the courtroom, the jurors, the judge, her family. Every movement of hers is careful, measured, but there's an undeniable undercurrent of defiance in the way she holds herself. She knows what's coming. She knows the secrets that could unravel everything, and she's ready to stand firm, no matter the cost. The judge now looks around the room, calculating with a sharp gaze. His gavel strikes again, demanding silence, and the air seems to settle for a fraction of a second. The prosecutor comes to his feet, a calm but commanding presence in a sea of tension. He launches into a rundown of the case, a web of allegations, whispers of manipulation, betrayal, and lies that have silently haunted this family for years. His voice is measured, deliberate, but every word lands like a hammer against the fragile veneer of normalcy the family has tried to maintain. The courtroom falls silent. You can almost taste the tension, metallic and heavy, mingling with the faint scent of perfume and polished wood. The jurors instinctively lean forward, pens poised over notepads, faces filled with a mix of curiosity and shock. Kody's jaw tightens, and he clears his throat subtly, a minor act of control in the situation that is dramatically slipping through his grasp. Robyn turns a glance at him, and concern etches her delicate features. Not a word has been said, yet the clenching and unclenching of her hands speaks volumes: fear, uncertainty, and the fragile hope that somehow the truth will not be as devastating as it seems. Christine is called first to testify. Her footsteps echo against the polished floor as she makes her way up to the witness stand, each step measured and deliberate. She takes a deep breath, as if attempting to settle herself. Her fingers tighten on the edge of the stand, almost as if for life. Her eyes lock with the prosecutor's, and in a low, clear voice, she begins to speak. She speaks of private conversations, of betrayals, of whispers of hidden conflicts that had simmered just below the surface of their image of a perfect family. Each word spoken seemed like a blow not only to Kody, but also to the well-tended image of the family, which has always seemed so picture-perfect to society's perception. As Christine would speak, the camera would pan to the reactions around the room. Robyn's eyes widen in shock, and her lips part slightly, as if she cannot fathom what she is hearing. Mary bites her lip, silently holding back tears that threaten to fall. Janelle's face hardens. Her jaw tightens in determination, signaling that she is preparing for what may come. Kody, though attempting to appear composed, falters slightly, a hesitation in his voice. A glance exchanged with Robyn speaking volumes. Even the judge leans forward slightly, eyebrows knitting together as if trying to grasp the full weight of what is being revealed. The next witness is a close family friend, visibly nervous, but resolute, and he begins to revisit late-night conversations, private observations, and subtle manipulations that paint a picture of a family far more complex than it ever seemed on camera. Every word sounds pre-thought, but the raw emotion under the words is impossible to turn one's back on. The courtroom feels smaller now, the walls almost pressing inwards as the tension rises. each secret weighing heavily on the ears and hearts of all present. Kody rises to cross-examine in a steady, calm voice, but with an edge, brittle as glass under pressure. He fires question after question, trying to pick out inconsistencies in the witness's testimony, looking for ways to regain control of a situation that is slipping through his fingers. But cracks begin to appear. Hesitations, subtle stammers, and fleeting eye movements reveal the uncertainty he is desperately trying to mask. The jury watches intently, furiously scribbling with pens, trying to capture each nuance, every shift in expression, every trembling in the voice. The camera cuts to the wives, capturing a range of subtle, potent emotional beats. Robyn swallows hard, her eyes glistening as she fights to maintain composure. Mary's hands shake slightly on her lap, her fingers entwined in her lap, as if holding on to herself for strength. Janelle leans back in her chair for a second, taking in the testimony, her mind racing, plotting her next move in the quiet internal battle she wages between anger and sadness and protective instinct. Christine stands tall, unwavering, holding the room by the force of her presence, her voice firm, even when her emotions seem to break through. The prosecutor shifts, produces a small envelope, and slides it across the desk toward the judge. A soft gasp works its way around the courtroom, silent but electric. Every pair of eyes follows the slow transit of the envelope. Each observer knows its contents might tilt in an instant these fragile scales. Kody's hand hovers above the table, almost involuntarily, as if he feels the danger in that envelope. Robyn's breath catches her heart in time with the silent tension. Christine narrows her eyes fractionally, anticipation mingled with trepidation. Her fingers tighten on the stand. The envelope is opened, and the courtroom collectively leans in. Inside are documents, photographs, and written statements that reveal long-hidden secrets. Messages exchanged in secrecy, meetings that nobody knew about, and actions that sharply contrast with the carefully nurtured public image of the family. The evidence hints at betrayals that are both shocking and intimate, the kind that can irreparably shatter trust. Every movement, every facial expression in the room depicts the raw emotional impact. Kody's face tightens further, a flicker of fear passing in his eyes. Robyn bites her lip, holding back an audible reaction. Christine allows herself a soft exhale, a mix of vindication and sorrow, as Mary and Janelle exchange looks that convey a mix of disbelief and resolve. The judge leaned forward, peering at the envelope in his hands. His face was inscrutable but grave. The courtroom held its breath, waiting for what was to come next. The tension in the room was palpable, alive, breathing through each glance, through every whispered word, and every moment of silence that stretched intensity. The air seemed to thrum with anticipation, as if the very walls knew the secrets that had been set free. Just as the witness is about to continue, there is a sudden outburst, breaking the tension. Kody clears his throat, voice firm, trying to reassert control, but the impact of the evidence is already settling in. Robyn looks to him, searching his face for reassurance. Christine's eyes flick briefly in his direction, the silent acknowledgement that the family dynamic has shifted, never to be the same. The prosecutor does nothing more than pause, letting silence extend like seconds loaded with possibility, before continuing to draw out the case details. Christine is called back onto the stand, and the atmosphere in the courtroom changes immediately. She shakes a little going up the steps, her back straight, her chin held high, the sure sign of a determination that seems almost tangible. The camera would focus on her face, the wide eyes, lids pressed tight, the flicker of fear dancing beneath the veneer of courage. Kody is watching Christine closely, trying to read her expression, his own face a mask that gives away nothing. Yet in every twitch of his jaw, a different story can be understood. The prosecutor leans in, his voice calm but cutting, asking Christine to recount events that had been whispered about for months. She takes a slow, deep breath and begins. "It wasn't just words behind closed doors," she says softly, with a sharp edge. "It was actions. Actions that changed the foundation of our family without anyone seeing." The courtroom instinctively leans in, as if each word is a spark that may ignite a storm. Her testimony drifts between calm recollection and emotional bursts, with every sentence putting new layers of tension into the air. She speaks to private arguments, the moments of manipulation, and quiet betrayals that long went unseen. She talks about nights awake, lying in bed and overhearing hushed conversations, sensing shifting allegiances among the wives and Kody himself. Every pause and every hesitant breath ratchets up the suspense, making the courtroom feel smaller, more suffocating. Robyn sits frozen, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Her eyes dart between Kody and Christine, confusion and disbelief warring with the urge to defend her husband. Mary presses a tissue to her lips, biting back a sob as Christine describes moments that resonate painfully with her own private experiences. Janelle leans forward, elbows on the table, eyes narrowed, trying to absorb every detail without revealing too much. Christine's voice rises slightly, a mix of pain and defiance. She describes a secret meeting, one that Kody had with someone unexpected. The room seems to contract around her words. The jury scribbles furiously, each note a testament to the unfolding drama, while the judge's gaze sharpens, assessing every nuance, every hesitation. The revelation is subtle at first, almost innocuous, but its implications are seismic, threatening to ripple through the family and the courtroom alike. Kody rises to cross-examine. His tone is steady, almost rehearsed, but there is a brittle edge to it now, a slight tremor in his voice that betrays the pressure. He asks about Christine's sources, about the timing, about why she waited until now. Each question is deliberate, precise, but the answers she gives land like blows. The audience can sense that this is no longer just a case about allegations. It's a battle for truth, for loyalty, for survival. Christine's emotions flare as intimate details, moments that were meant to be private, are now laid out for all to see. Her voice shakes, and she swallows hard before proceeding to speak of whispered promises broken, private alliances never told, and actions taken behind the family's back. Robyn twists uncomfortably, seeming unsure how to react. Mary's fingers clench her tissue tighter, and Janelle's knuckles whiten as she grips the edge of the table. Kody's hand hovers near his face, subconsciously trying to shield himself from the sting. The courtroom feels electric. Every breath drawn collectively, every movement magnified. The camera would pan across the jurors' faces, capturing their shock, curiosity, and growing realization that this family's public image may have been a lie. Christine pauses, looks down at the stand, her eyes welling in tears. She takes a deep breath, showing them a secret text message exchange that points directly to manipulation by someone nobody expects. The courtroom gasps audibly. The sound seems to hang in the air long after it leaves the lips of those present. Robyn's voice is low, a whisper, really, to her attorney, while her face portrays panic and unbelief. Kody's eyes flicker to hers, but he looks away without allowing his controlled exterior to break. Christine's voice is steady now, though her hands shake on the podium, as she talks about how the secrets have taken an emotional toll on the family. Every pause, every breath, every glance is raw with tension. The prosecutor nods subtly for Christine to continue. She talks about meetings and quiet discussions, choices made out of sight and ear that put wedges between the wives. The camera would dwell on each wife as she reacts: Robyn's confusion, Mary's pain, Janelle's steely resolve, and finally, Kody, whose calm exterior is beginning to slip despite himself. The tension in the air is suddenly broken as the courtroom doors swing open and a surprise witness is escorted in, a former close confidant of Kody. Whispers ripple through the room. The judge pounds his gavel again, bringing order back. But one can feel that the air is now really charged with anticipation. Every eye follows the witness onto the stand, their presence signaling that the narrative is about to take an unexpected turn. The witness starts off cautious, her voice measured, relating privy conversations and meetings that no one outside their inner circle knew existed. Her words are deliberate, each sentence loaded with implication, each pause pregnant with potential disaster. Christine shifts slightly, her body tensing as she listens. Robyn's hands shake subtly in her lap. Mary bites her lip, trying to compose herself, while Janelle leans forward, narrowing her eyes, calculating every angle. The witness lets loose with her first bombshell, a betrayal nobody saw coming. Kody's jaw clenches, his eyes darting to the wives, and for a brief, shocking moment, he appears taken aback. The prosecutor leans forward, prompting the witness to continue. Christine swallows hard, the sting of recognition sharp in her eyes. Robyn exhales sharply, as if trying to release the tension building in her chest. Mary's hands shake ever so slightly, and Janelle's face hardens further with determination. The courtroom seems frozen in time. Every word, every glance, every reaction gets magnified. The witness then goes on to reveal a series of clandestine actions, text messages and private meetings, each more shocking than the last. Kody tries to interrupt, to defend himself, but the weight of the testimony is undeniable. Christine's emotions well up again, her voice breaking at times, as she recalls how these secrets affected her, and how they manipulated the fragile balance of trust among the wives. Robyn leans back, her hands clasped tightly, not sure if she should feel betrayed or protective. Mary's eyes glisten with tears she refuses to let fall, and Janelle shifts uncomfortably in her chair, her mind racing with implications. Kody's hands tremble subtly as he tries to keep composure, though the tension etches into every line on his face. And then the surprise witness lets fall one final bombshell, revelation that implicates someone in the family, in an act of deception no one saw coming. The room falls silent. Even the judge appears taken aback, taking extra time to respond to make sure the gravity of the moment settles over everyone. The jury members scribble furiously, trying to capture every detail, every inflection, every nuance that might matter. Christine wipes at her eyes, taking a shaky breath, and looks over at Kody. For the first time in this trial, there is a palpable shift, a feeling that nothing will ever again be the same. Robyn slowly exhales, her disbelief mingled with concern, as Mary and Janelle exchange a look which speaks volumes. The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife, and every second seems like it is going on forever. The tension in the courtroom has reached a boiling point. The surprise witness has just finished their testimony, and a heavy silence hangs in the air, as if the room itself is holding its breath. Kody sits rigid, his jaw tight, eyes darting toward each wife, trying to gauge their reactions. The wives, each battling their own storm of emotions, have reacted in manners that speak louder than words. Robyn clasps her hands together. Mary presses her lips tight, and Janelle leans forward, her eyes sharp, calculating, ready for the next confrontation. The judge clears his throat, calling the next witness forward. It's Janelle, rising slowly, each step deliberate. She carries in the weight of both anger and hurt. The courtroom watches her intently as she takes the stand, hands gripping the edges as if she's steadying herself against the flood of memories about to surface. Her voice is steady, but there's enough tremble on her tone to belie the emotional storm roiling beneath her words. "I've tried to stay out of things," Janelle begins, "but the lies, the secrets, they affect all of us. Every decision, every choice was built on something hidden, something we weren't told." Her eyes flick toward Kody, then to the jury. There's a flicker of hurt, then anger, which dances across her face like lightning. She recounts private conversations, subtle betrayals, and moments where the trust in the family was broken, not through major confrontations, but through small, deliberate omissions and manipulations. The camera would slowly pan across the wives. Robyn's hands quiver slightly while she listens, caught between defending Kody and facing the truth she has long suspected. Mary's lips are pressed tight, her mind wandering back to moments of subtle betrayal that now, in the harsh light of testimony, make sense. Christine watches Janelle intently, her expression unreadable but intense, an unspoken alliance, a quiet validation of what she herself had been through. The prosecutor leans forward and asks Janelle to describe certain moments of conflict and deception. She tells him how private alliances were formed, whispers shared in confidence, and decisions made regarding their family without full transparency. Her voice rises slightly as she recalls moments of direct confrontation with Kody. Questions asked, promises broken, subtle power plays that had gone unnoticed by outsiders. Kody tries to interrupt, his voice modulated, yet laced with suppressed anger. "Janelle, are you positive about what you remember?" he asks, his tone even but cutting. Janelle doesn't back down an inch. "I know what I saw, I know what I heard, and I know what it cost me and everyone else," she says with unwavering firmness, her eyes not leaving his. The tension between them is electric, a palpable force that pervades the room and clenches the air tighter around every onlooker. Christine is called again, this time to respond to Janelle's testimony. Her hands shake slightly on the podium, but her voice carries strength and determination. She recounts moments of her own, times when she felt isolated, manipulated, or silenced. The camera captures the emotional weight in her eyes, the slight quiver in her lips, and the raw intensity of her voice. She speaks to the emotional toll these hidden betrayals have taken, painting a picture of a family fractured from within. Robyn fidgets, clearly uncomfortable. She wants to defend Kody, but Christine's words ring in her ears, and she cannot entirely deny the power of what Christine has said. Mary's tears well, but remain unshed, an acknowledgement to her own pain and a testament to the emotional scars left by the family's internal struggles. Janelle is silent, her face growing stern, her jaw rigid. Things are different, she realizes. The court has become a battleground where alliances are put in jeopardy and loyalties called into question. The second piece of evidence the prosecutor presents is several messages, emails, and pictures that further detail the depth of deception and betrayal. Their wives' reactions are instant and visceral. Robyn's hand shoots to her mouth. Mary's eyes go wide, and Janelle's fists clench tight. For the first time, the carefully maintained composure of Kody starts to crack. Subtle, yet undeniable. His fingers twitch, his jaw sets, and he exhales hard through his nose. The courtroom is alive with tension. Each whisper, every glance, and every reaction magnified. Christine inches closer to the jury as she recounts one particularly damaging revelation of Kody's secret meeting with an outsider, an action that had radically affected the wives' trust and security. The jury members lean in, hanging on every word. The judge looks on staunch and unbending, but even he cannot conceal the flicker of surprise across his features. The wives are called to confront each other directly. Robyn turns toward Christine, words unspoken, but emotions raw. Christine's eyes flash a mixture of sorrow and accusation. Janelle leans ever so slightly forward, her gaze intense, ready to challenge any denial. Tense is an understatement, decades of feelings bottled inside. Envy, loyalty, heartbreak all continue to simmer, and the courtroom becomes the perfect stage for their emotions to spill over. Kody tries to intercede, his voice firm, yet strained. "Let's focus on the facts," he demands, hoping to retain control. But the emotional tide cannot be contained. Christine responds, her voice rising slightly, recounting the small lies, the manipulations, the quiet betrayals that for years chipped away at trust. The courtroom shifts with every word. Some lean in fascinated. Others recoil, shocked by raw honesty. Mary finally speaks up, voice quiet but steady, describing the ways the family's hidden conflicts have affected her personally. The words are not complex, but cut deep, and the weight of their veracity settles over the room. Robyn looks at her, guilt and fear crossing her features. Janelle's eyes narrow as she realizes what Mary has revealed, and Christine's face softens somewhat, a moment of understanding passing between them. The surprise witness is called again, this time to clarify a crucial piece of evidence. In fact, his testimony brings in an element of complexity that no one in the courtroom expected. A complex web of betrayal within most of their family members. Kody's hands shake slightly now, and Robyn looks over to him, at a loss for words. Christine sits tall, a mix of vindication and pain etched across her face. The courtroom feels like it's holding its breath. Every person seated, every juror, every observer is hyper-aware of the tension that pulses through the room. The surprise witness, who stepped in unexpectedly at the end of Section 3, now takes the stand fully, their presence alone commanding attention. Kody sits rigid, a brittle calm barely holding him together, while Robyn's fingers clench the edge of the table, knuckles white. Christine and Janelle sit like statues, their eyes sharp, scanning, analyzing every flicker of expression on Kody's face. Even Mary, quiet and reserved, leans forward, heart pounding as she braces herself for what's about to unfold. He speaks slowly, his voice measured, yet commanding, and goes on to describe events, meetings, and conversations that none of the wives, or Kody, had ever imagined would ever see the light of day. The witness's testimony is layered, divulging not only secrets, but also motives, grudges held for years, and a web of alliances that had been kept carefully under wraps. Each sentence fell like a thunderclap, echoing through the courtroom into the hearts of all who sat before him. They speak first of financial discrepancies, subtle manipulations that Kody allegedly orchestrated to control certain aspects of the family's household. The wives shift uncomfortably, their reactions telling a story in themselves. Robyn bites her lip, attempting to mask the shock in her expression, while Christine leans forward, eyes narrowed, listening intently. Janelle exhales sharply, anger and betrayal mingling in the slight twitch of her jaw. In her lap, Mary's hands tremble faintly, the weight of these revelations pressing down like an invisible hand. The tone changes abruptly as the witness starts recounting more intimate betrayals, secret meetings, furtive communications, and promises broken in whispers meant to be private. Kody's expression stiffens, and for a moment, the calm facade cracks. His fingers tap nervously against the table, the only sign of the panic rising inside him. Robyn turns toward him. Shock and unbelief mingling in her wide eyes, Christine clamping her lips into a thin line as her body went tight with controlled fury. As Janelle leaned forward, as if ready to pounce at the first misstep. So, the courtroom inclined in their chairs as the witness dropped the first bomb. A secret meeting between Kody and an outsider, which had been contrived to effect control of events within the household. The wives exchanged shocked glances with one another. Robyn's hand flew to her mouth. A silent gasp exhaled. Christine's eyes widened in shock and vindication. Janelle's fists clenched as Mary bit her lip. The betrayal cut into a wound she hadn't known was even there. Kody tries to defend himself, standing and speaking in a voice that is steady but strained. I can explain. This has been misunderstood, he says, eyes darting from one wife to another. But the witness's testimony continues, layering fact upon fact, detail upon detail, until Kody's words seem like whispers against the roar of evidence. The jury scribbles furiously, trying to keep up with the explosive revelations. The judge listening, expression stern, absorbing every nuance. Christine stands up for a moment, voice quivering but determined, as she speaks of a private moment of manipulation that she personally witnessed, a detail directly contradictory to Kody's explanation. You think you were protecting us, she says to him, her eyes fixed on him. But all you were doing was controlling us, controlling everything. Her words hang sharp and cutting in the air, and the room feels electrified. Robyn shifts, unsure whether to defend her husband or acknowledge the painful truth. The courtroom takes on an almost cinematic tone, with long, tense pauses punctuated by rapid-fire revelations. Another piece of evidence comes from the witness, a series of text messages and emails that make the accusations undeniable. Christine audibly gasps as she sees some of the messages. Her eyes widen in shock. Robyn's hands shake slightly as she reads. Mary's face goes pale, and Janelle's expression hardens, a mix of anger and determination. Kody's fingers flex nervously, his jaw tight. Waves of tension radiate from him. The emotional tension rises as the wives confront each other directly. Christine steps closer to Robyn, accusation and pain mixed in her voice. How could you stand by him when you knew? She asks, barely containing her emotion. Robyn hesitates, her voice catches in her throat. I didn't know the full truth, she says, eyes glistening. Mary silently shakes her head, too overwhelmed to say anything, while Janelle leans forward, her voice cold and calculated, ready to hold everyone accountable. The judge calls the court to order, pounding his gavel, but the storm of emotions will not be contained. The courtroom is alive with tension, whispers, gasps, and the subtle weight of heavy betrayal. Every eye rests on Kody as he struggles to respond, the weight of testimony and evidence mounting. Christine recounts a particularly damaging incident as her voice breaks, describing years of emotional turmoil from deception. The camera cuts to the jury, who scribble furiously, entranced with the drama unfolding before them. A pause. Silence. The witness steps forward once more, delivering the final explosive revelation. Someone within the family, had knowingly acted to manipulate events, creating rifts and sowing distrust. The words hang in the room, heavy and electric, and the wives' reactions are instantaneous. Robyn gasps, covering her mouth. Christine swallows hard, her eyes welling up in tears. Janelle exhales sharply, anger and disbelief etched into every line of her face. Mary finally allows herself a quiet sob, a release of months, perhaps years, of suppressed emotion. Kody slumps slightly, his mask of control finally cracking. The courtroom is thick with tension, every heartbeat seeming to seep through the polished wood and high ceilings. After hours of testimony, shocking revelations, and emotional confrontations, the final moments of the trial have finally arrived. Kody sits rigid, his jaw tight, hands clenched on the table, as his eyes dart from the judge to the jury to the wives. Emotionally raw, the wives are each steeled for the ultimate reckoning. Robyn's fingers are tightly intertwined in her lap. Mary presses a tissue to her lips. Christine's jaw is set in determination. And Janelle leans forward, eyes alight with anticipation. The judge asks to hear the final arguments. Christine stands first, her voice steady but raw with emotion. She recalls the pain, betrayals, and quiet manipulations that have defined her experience of the family. Her eyes sweep around the room, alighting briefly on Kody as a silent message of accusation and vindication flashes in her gaze. "This isn't just about lies," she says, her voice breaking. "It's about trust and respect and the emotional cost of keeping secrets. Our family has been fractured, and it's time for the truth to matter." Robyn stands next. Her voice is softer, tinged with confusion and heartbreak. She tries to reconcile her love and loyalty for Kody with the undeniable truths that have been revealed. "I believed in him, in us, in this family," she says, eyes glistening. "But I can't ignore what's come to light. I want to move forward, but not without truth." Her words hang in the air, a mixture of vulnerability and subtle accusation, and the wives exchange glances, some tinged with empathy, others with silent judgment. Janelle steps up, voice strong and unwavering. "We've lived with deception, and we've carried the weight of decisions made in secrecy," she says, her tone firm, yet laced with hurt. This courtroom isn't just a place for evidence. It's where accountability meets reality. And accountability must be faced, no matter how painful. Her gaze meets Kody's, sharp and unyielding, as if challenging him to respond, to face the consequences of his actions. Mary speaks finally. Her voice is low, but deliberate, weighted with an emphasis that reverberates through the room. "I've been silent for too long," she says, tears brimming. "I've suffered in silence, hoping things would change, and they haven't. This family needs honesty, and we can't rebuild without it." Her words fall like stones in a pond, sending ripples through the courtroom's emotional core. Kody's hands shake ever so slightly, betraying a calm he's attempted to sustain now for hours. The prosecutor rises, calmly laying out the final pieces of evidence, connecting testimonies, secret messages, and subtle betrayals into a coherent narrative impossible to ignore. Each wife's expression changes minutely with every revelation, shock, pain, vindication, all swirling into a storm of emotions that fills the room. The jury scribbles furiously, while the judge leans forward, absorbing every word, every nuance, every subtle glance across the family members. Kody finally rises, voice measured but strained. "I never intended to hurt anyone," he says, every word considered, every pause loaded with unspoken regret. "I made mistakes, decisions I thought were best, but I see now the impact of my actions. I accept the consequences, whatever they may be." His eyes make their way across the wives, an apology and resignation reflected in his gaze. Christine's face softened slightly, tears streaking down her cheeks, but her voice remains even. "It's not just about acceptance," she says. "It's about accountability, about understanding the weight of your actions and the pain they've caused." "We deserve that truth." Robyn nods slightly, silent agreement, while Janelle exhales sharply, relief and remaining anger mingling in her expression. Mary wipes a tear, wordlessly acknowledging the closure this moment brings, even if the scars remain. The judge pauses, holding the final piece of evidence, a secret letter, up to then hidden, which could tip the scale of judgment one way or another. Silence fills the courtroom, each second stretching endlessly, as if time itself has slowed in anticipation. The wives hold their collective breath. Kody's hands flex subtly, and even the jury seems frozen, caught in the gravity of the moment. Finally, the judge speaks, his voice measured, steady, laced with the weight of authority, as he recounts evidence, testimony, emotional tolls, and undeniable truths laid bare before all present. The gavel strikes. After a moment, silence ensues. Every pair of eyes in the room rests on Kody and the wives. The verdict, though delivered with calm authority, carried the emotional weight of years of hidden pain and betrayal.